We're coming in hot with inspiring guests, witty banter, and colorful commentary for today's veterans and military community. This is the Tango Alpha Lima podcast.
They call me crazy cause I'm facing all my giants. They try to scare me into thinking I can fight it. They tell me I should never even think of trying. But that's just me, I'm gonna live out in defiance.
Oh my goodness, Alphas, you were in for a treat today. As always, sitting with me is Ashley Marie, last initial G. Wait a minute. You look different.
I do look a little different. I cut my hair.
You cut your hair. Well, It's really funny. Like Jarek, who is our technical wizard, he wanted to do like this late 90s, early 2000s sitcom thing where you just change the actor and never bring it up. Like
Never acknowledge it.
Like the 70s show did that with the sister. They just
gave
us a new actress, new personality even, but same character name. And Jarek wanted to do that. And as you can see from the intro, we have a new intro. Looks pretty good. We do a lot of... and Jarek wanted to do that shot by shot with you and not acknowledge the fact that we changed personnel because the names are so similar. And I think it's Holly did that because I'm a Marine, and she didn't think I could handle too much change at once or getting the name right, or they made it pretty easy for me. So thank you for that. We've had you on as a guest, so we're not new. And apparently that didn't go too poorly because you agreed to come back as a host.
I know. I love both you and the other Ashley. We should call her the better Ashley. I think so. No, you're doing the German Shepherd face.
What? Why have a?
Why have it? She can't be the better Ashley. Okay. All right. The cooler Ashley, the prettier Ashley. What do you want?
The youngin?
The young.
The newest born Ashley? I don't want to do comparisons. I mean, Ashley brought what Ashley brought, and Ashley's bringing what Ashley's bringing, and they're both valuable and valued.
And valued. I'm a value member of this organization, and I can only thank you for that.
The grocery store tells me that whenever I swipe my card there, that I'm a valued customer. So I know how it feels. So I wanted to share that with you. So I met you in person.
Yep.
At the SVA. You
did.
Which is I was clearly very excited to see you.
You bursted out of an elevator. You bursted out. I was just standing there and I was too close to the elevator's opening and did not expect Jeff Daly to jump out. So excited. You were excited. You were tired, in fairness to you. You had a long night, but I was excited to see you. You were like, hey, I know you.
You're very recognizable. You're very recognizable.
Thank you. It's all my face tattoos.
There you go. The one big tattoo that it's so big you can't even tell.
Right. It just says Ashley, real big.
And so we met there. You gave me great information. You were right in on the team. You had more information than I did, which was amazing. And then I found out. F around and find out. I effed around and walked around with Ashley Gutermuth, and I felt like I did this a lot. Yeah, we got an incoming. Because you are a legit celebrity. Like, some people call themselves influencers, and I go, yeah, great. Your uncle and your mom listen to you. Whatever. Ashley Gutermuth, ladies and gentlemen, is a legit celebrity. And I'm going to tell the story. I told it before the show. I told it to Holly. And the funny thing is these things mean nothing to her because they are so common for her. But we're walking through the convention floor, and this woman, she passes by us. First, she tries to be coy. She passes by us and just waves, even waves at me as a way to kind of take attention away from the fact that she's a super fan. Let's just call it super fan. And she turns around and she goes, you're Ashley Gutermuth. And Ashley Gutermuth says, correct. I am Ashley Gutermuth, or words to that effect, as we say in the military when we don't know what we're talking about. So then the woman says, I am not a starstruck person, and I've worked with Angelina Jolie. But when I saw you, and after she said, I saw you, I do forget everything else she said, but it was fully complimentary to the extreme. Now, this happens to you all the time?
Well, not in my own home. My cat and husband don't seem to have that kind of respect that I deserve. But yeah, I people do come up to me a lot. It means it's very nice. I love when people come up to me because they've seen me doing comedy or they've seen me online somewhere. What it does mean is that I can no longer scratch myself in public. And can't do it anymore. People are secretly recording me. I know, because they've sent me things afterwards. They'll send me messages that are like, "You look great outside your house. I love what you're wearing today." And you're like, "Who are you? Why do you know where I live? Don't come kill me, please." I do get a lot of messages, and especially lately, where people are like, "You are so tiny and cute. You'd be perfect to stuff in the back of a van." And I'm like, "Would I?" Would I really? I would like it if people would stop trying to kidnap me. That would be great. Just let me go willingly. Let's do that.
But then so they should invite you into the trunk of their car.
Invite me. Yes.
Yeah.
And to be honest, with my upbringing, being invited into the trunk of a car would probably be like a life skill. I'd be in there. I'd pull out my flashlight. Okay, where's the little switch that opens it up? I can actually. And now, depending on your make and model of your car, I might be able to break into yours as well. But I can break into my own car in about 6 seconds. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. I found that out because I kept locking my keys in it and I had to find a way around. So what you do is you go on YouTube and you find some videos of how people break into cars.
I kept locking my keys into it. That's amazing. And it's funny. I think we got an instant... We're going to have an instant flow here. Holly's a little worried about it. She said, you two are going to be trouble.
We are. I think we are. I think we will amp each other up. And I try to be bad, then you try to be bad. And then in the end, we're just like, we're both canceled.
Right.
Guess what happened on the American Legion podcast today, guys? It was not okay.
It was not okay. And the cool thing was that we had this little, I don't want to call it a ceremony, but we passed the baton, and I can't remember what we used as a baton, but
Mickey Mouse crispy,
Rice Krispie treat dipped in chocolate.
Mickey Mouse Rice Krispie treat.
Right, it was a sweet ceremony.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy, I did a bad joke.
We passed the guide on from Better Ashley to Now Ashley, and. Yeah, I saluted her.
You did salute her.
She relinquished command.
She did. You've been to a few of those. So for people who don't know, you are you're a military spouse of a United States Air Force pilot.
Mm-hmm. Got me a zipper-suited sun god. I did.
A zipper-suited sun god. All right. That's outstanding. And you're a member of the American Legion Auxiliary.
I am.
Excited about that.
Yeah, I'm super excited. There's so many neat things that the American Legion does and the American Legion Auxiliary does. And I'm excited to find out about every one of them. Get me in those cracks and crevices.
Hey, I've got messages from people in the American Legion Auxiliary who are excited that you're here. So yes. Because some of them, our friend Carol Lindemoon Harlow has always asked me, why don't you guys ever have an auxiliary house? Well, now you have to find something new to complain about, Carol.
That's right.
Because
come on, Carol.
Ashley's here, and she's not going anywhere until we both get canceled.
That's right. So about 5 minutes from now.
5 minutes from now. All right. So there you are. And we weren't going to share the stories. I feel like we got to know each other really well. And some of the stories you told me quite frankly, keep me up at night. But and it's true that comedians and their work come from pain.
I was trying to make Jeff laugh, and I kept telling him stories from my childhood, which I won't repeat now.
They're not
and then
funny.
he would look at me and he would go, "That's not true." And I was, "Yeah, it is. I have proof." So they are hilarious. First of all of them. But
they're disturbing.
Maybe you had to be there.
Did you say you had to be there?
Maybe.
Oh.
I don't know.
Oh,
Funny to me.
I just felt for poor young Gutermuth.
Well, it shaped me into whatever I am today.
And I guess we're thankful for
I am.
Childhood trauma? I love it.
Because look at how useful it got to be. I got to sit on a park bench in Orlando, Florida, and whisper horrific stories into your ear to try to get you to laugh.
And then
you're just like, who is this weirdo?
And then see me go.
Yeah, basically, you just and we'll get into more.
Well, what's interesting. We have a gentleman today who's had a very action-filled past, and he too has turned it into creative work. So you two will have this in common, because today we'll be joined by Silver Star recipient Dennis Hoy. Dennis served in the U.S. Army Infantry during the Vietnam War. Holly forgot to type war. His memoirs, Letters from Vietnam, is based on letters he wrote home to his new bride and his parents during his tour. He will share stories from his book and tell us how he was inspired to write his memoir right after the break.
Veterans, did you know that hearing loss and tinnitus are the top service-connected disabilities, and that untreated hearing loss frequently results in social isolation and loneliness? A new year is always a good time for new connections, and it's just as important to maintain the old. The Heroes with Hearing Loss program, provided by Hamilton CapTel, supports veterans who face the challenges of hearing loss by providing solutions that keep us connected. And now, the new Heroes mobile CapTel app for iOS devices is available. Veterans with hearing loss can download the Heroes mobile CapTel app at no cost and experience the same feature-rich captioned telephone service that Hamilton CapTel customers have relied on for years. The ability to listen and read what is said over the phone makes it easier than ever to connect with those who matter most in their lives. Just search for Heroes Mobile CapTel in the Apple App Store today. Restrictions apply. Visit heroeswithhearingloss.org for terms and conditions. Have a happy and healthy New Year. If you were stationed at Camp Lejeune between 1953 and 1987, you and your family may be victims of toxic water poisoning. Cancers, birth defects, deadly illnesses have all been linked to the contaminated water. With passage of the PACT Act, the government is ready to be held accountable. You could be awarded financial compensation for your suffering, but you must act now. Get your free case review. Call True Law at 833-686-4242, 833-686-4242, or visit justicecamp.lejeune.com/TAL. Before seeking any legal representation regarding the Camp Lejeune Justice Act, make sure you speak with a Department Service Officer of the American Legion to better understand your rights.
All right, Alphas, as promised, we have a special guest here. I'd like to say welcome home, Mr. Hoy, proud Vietnam veteran himself. And really, he's this guy. I think we'll have a link to his book in the show notes, as super producer Holly always efficiently does, with her professionalism that is contrary to myself. And we're going to see if AMG is going to up our game. And speaking of, this is going to be your first question. Wow.
What can I say?
Excited? Are you excited?
I'm bursting.
Okay. So Dennis, be kind to her. This is her first show in that hot seat. She's been in your seat before. This is her first time over here. All right, Ashley. No pressure. Just make it perfect.
No pressure. Just make it perfect. Thank you, Mr. Hoy, for being here. Your story is amazing. What stands out to me is I kind of try to follow stories and emotions. And what I would like to know is, how did you feel when you first got notice that you were drafted?
Well, it wasn't very good. I just got married.
No.
We got married June the 16th, 1966. And right after that, I got a draft notice and left August 31st, 1966 on my wife's birthday. So I told her happy birthday and goodbye. But we knew it was coming. I was put on academic probation in college. The classes kept interfering with my baseball career. And I had to make a 3-point. I made a 2.95. So I was put on academic probation, and we got married. We knew it was coming. We got married in June, and we knew it was coming. Just a matter of time to get it when it came.
Yeah. The Army has excellent timing, doesn't it? A quick follow up. Sorry to step on your toes there, Jeff, but what position did you play in baseball?
I played third base in college, and in high school, I was going to be a professional baseball player, and that's what I wanted to do. And the Army grew me up, and when I came back, I went back to college and studied instead of playing baseball.
Yeah. I love baseball. I also wanted to be a professional baseball player. As unlikely as that sounds, I'm tiny. But I played shortstop, batted fourth on all boys teams up until they wouldn't let me play on boys teams anymore. But absolutely loved it. So I think that's a super interesting part of your story.
All right. Well, shortstop suits you now. So
thank you.
Yeah. But with Holly over there, you're tall. All right,
that's
Mr. Hoy. So as noted on the book and in our introduction, you were in the Vietnam War. We've heard lots of stories about the Vietnam War, and I'm wondering if you could tell me 2 of yours, because one is one that we hear a lot, like a harrowing time in combat. And then the other one is crazy things that happen when you're not in combat, that downtime. Do you have any stories about that? Like,
well, yes, sir.
That you can say in front of your wife over there?
Certainly, combat is combat, but when you're in the military, we had a year's tour. And during that year's tour, in the book, there's a lot of things that happened that were funny. And sometimes the funniness, it depends on how you look at it. There's one time we were on ambush, and I think there was 5 of us, and we were on this trail, and we could hear the artillery coming, and they were walking the trail. It was at night, and they walk these trails at night, but they're supposed to know where you are so they won't hit you. Well, it kept getting closer and closer, and called in and told them, I said, cut that stuff off. It's getting pretty close. And all of a sudden we just dove on the ground, and the explosion was so close to us that we got powder burns off of it. But one of the guys, you're in the fetal position, and the shrapnel went up his leg from the top of the boot out his knee. And I told our machine gunner was Beer Belly, and I said, Beer Belly, I said, patch him up and I'll call in medevac. And so he started patching him up, and he got sick, and he said, I can't do it. So I had somebody else call in medevac. I said, crud, I'll do it. And you have these field bandages about the size of both your hands together. You got strings coming off each end, and you put it on the wound, and you reach underneath and grab the strings, and you tie them up on top. You put pressure on top. Well, I had put one on, and I reached underneath there, and I got a string, and I'm pulling on it, and he's yelling. I told him, I said, golly, shut up. I said, you got $1 million wound, you're going home. And I said, somebody light a match and let me see what I'm doing. And they lit a match, and what had happened, I'd grabbed his skin, and I was pulling his skin instead of the.
Oh, God.
And so, that's a funny thing, but it's also kind of crude. But we have a lot of things like that. We did several things like we stole a Jeep one time back in the river, and we got back to the base camp for one of the few times. And we'd gone to the end. They'd opened up the NCO club for us. We stole a Jeep and we were riding around on the perimeter. I said, "Let's go look at the base." And we were riding around on the perimeter, and some sergeant was up there on the lookout tower. And we got on the perimeter, and he yelled us to stop or he's going to shoot. So we stopped, and he started chewing us out, and we got into an argument. But anyway, got back in the Jeep and we got out of there and just said, "Let's get off the perimeter." So, but I mean, we just do things. What are they going to do to you? Send you to Nam, make you walk point? That's what I was doing. So we had no fears. We just kind of did what we wanted, and they kind of left us alone.
Well, I appreciate that. And I imagine that story's in here.
Yes, it is. Both of them.
Oh, both of them. Okay, so I'm going to pre-pitch this to our alphas out there. Get this book, and you'll hear more stories like that from Mr. Hoy. I'm not going to do a follow-up. I'm going to send it back to Ashley.
Back to me. So after all of the things that you experienced, even these stories that you're telling us now, which are amazing and vivid, did you when you came home from Vietnam, did you feel like after that experience that you could handle anything life threw at you after that?
I don't know if I felt that way or not. Your life goes through different stages. And I was at a young stage of my life. I was 24. In fact, I was one of the older guys over there. I was 24. I've never been scared to do anything. Later on, I became a professional bass fisher. I'm an artist. I've never been scared to do anything. So it's one of those things that it didn't affect me that way. What it did, it grew me up. I needed some discipline in my life, and it gave me that. And I saw that there was a lot more to life than playing baseball. And so I got some discipline in my life and got things in order and went back to school and made the dean's list and graduated and got a master's degree. And it gets your life in order, I guess, more than anything it did for me.
Help you to see the priorities in a sense,
Yes,
maybe.
yes, ma'am.
That's what I just found interesting was we talk a lot about transition stories, transitioning from the military to civilian life, and you mentioned professional bass fishing, and I want to know, and this is half serious, half joking. I want to know what has more lies, war stories or fish tales?
Probably fish tales.
The one that got away.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, sir. It was this big.
That's right. Yeah. The ones that get away are always big.
The ones that get away are always big. So I don't know if you know much about deployments today. I know you've been in a Legion post, so maybe you've heard some people telling some war stories there. From what you hear, or how has deployment changed over time? If you even feel like you have the info to answer that question.
I don't. The only way I can explain it the best way I can is that I didn't have a choice. I was drafted. In the military now is volunteer. And so a lot of the deployment, the people volunteer to go on those deployments. When I was elected to go to the service, I didn't have a choice. And you know, I went through basic and AIT and all this time I thought, you know, I'll get out of it. I'll get a good job description and whatever. And so I got light weapons infantry, and I didn't have a choice. I didn't have a choice of choosing what field I wanted to be in or not be in. So in my circumstances, it was selected for me. And in today's circumstances, you may have a choice of what deployment you go to.
All right. Well, they did call it selective service, so you basically start out elite. it was very selective process, and they got you in there. All right. So, Ashley, do you have anything on that, or are we going to go to a different area?
Sort of shift to the book, or shift to no, you could
Just shift.
Well, just shift it around. Why not? You can steer the ship. Go for it.
All right. So let's go back to your transition story before we get to the book. You went to college, and how was that experience? Because the environment around veterans today it's almost annoyingly this superhero fetish that people have with veterans. But back then it was annoyingly supervillain kind of atmosphere. And college campuses were filled with protesters and all of that sort of thing. Was it difficult fitting in it back into that scene in your transition story?
No, sir, it really wasn't. I was sitting at the Campus Union building, and a coach brought another coach up and introduced me to him and said that I had 1 year of eligibility left, and would I like to play? And certainly I wanted to play, but I told him there was more to life than playing baseball, and I had to get an education. And he laughed and he said, "Yeah, I understand." I did not feel or see that much protest at the college I was at. It was a smaller college, Eastern New Mexico University, and I didn't feel. I've always been a competitor, and I've competed in athletics all my life, and I competed in school when I got back again. So my mental attitude was back to school. And I really didn't have any problem. Yeah, there were some people that I'm sure looked at me a different way or resented me for being in the military, but I don't let stuff that bother me. It wasn't that important to me. You know, if they want to feel that way, that's fine. But it just didn't bother me.
That was a great lesson that you took to college so that you could get more out of college. So that's awesome. And that's probably a perspective that a lot of us need to hear and emulate in our lives. So since we're going to shift to the book, I'm going to ask you right now, if I know your answer as an author is to read it front to back, but if someone was going to cheat and go to your favorite part, what would it be?
Oh, I don't know that I have a favorite part. There's a lot of them. Chapter number 4 has to do with the big battle that we were in, and I was awarded the Silver Star, and our medic during that same battle was awarded the Medal of Honor. So that's a pretty good chapter. And the chapter toward the end of the book where I write about my feelings about Vietnam, and there's a lot of history leading up to Vietnam, and a lot of people don't understand it, and why we didn't invade North Vietnam and what kept us from doing that. But my personal feelings about how the war was run and what we could have done different, I think that's an interesting chapter, at least on my part. But there's so many things in there. One time a lieutenant wanted to go on ambush with us. He's a new lieutenant and wanted to go on ambush with us. And that's I'll tell you that story later on, but that's a great story. And he never went on another ambush after that. But there's several things like that are in there that are really interesting, and just all different kinds. And the problem I have with all this military stuff is that I don't remember names. I had to look in the letters to find names, and I'm on cell phone all the time, trying to communicate with people from the Vietnam era, and they ask me about so and so and so and so and so and so, and I have a terrible memory when it comes to names, and I guess that brings back memories trying to find people's names and stuff. But there's a lot of things in the book. I just a battle is won, and certain instances that we did, or other things that are interesting. But it's hard just to pick out one or two things that really stand out in my mind. But the chapter toward the end about my feelings on how the war was run, I think is very interesting, at least from my part.
Well, I don't want you to spoil that, but I do want you to. Oh, go ahead.
There's one other thing in there is that they brought us in from the field, and we checked in all of our old stuff and got new stuff. And it was at Christmas time, and the rumor was going around we're going to go see Bob Hope. And they put us on C-130s and flew us to Cameron Bay, and the tarmac was just big cement area, thousands of troops out there in formation. And I was on the front row, and they had the big stage there. We're going to see Bob Hope, going to see Bob Hope. And in came this plane, and all these reporters and photographers, camera crews set up. And in came the next plane, and it was LBJ. And he came and gave us his Christmas address. And they flew us back to base camp, turned in our new stuff, got our old stuff back, and sent us back to the field. And so we got to see LBJ instead of Bob Hope. And don't ask me my opinion on that.
I have an opinion about that. That's terrible.
I think your facial expression at the end of that told us your opinion. I think we should welcome you to later on, because now I want to hear the story of that lieutenant that wanted to go in the ambush. That you said you'd tell us later on.
I'll tell you right now.
Oh, this is later on. Yes.
Okay. Well, certainly it's, you have to understand when you're out in the field, you're securing the perimeter. You never stayed in the same place overnight. You're continually moving. So you dug in every night and you're securing the perimeter, or you're on listening post, which is your fire squad. You're about 200 yards in front of the perimeter trying to pick up people coming in, or you're on ambush and you take your fire squad and you're out on ambush as many as 10 clicks away, and you're hiding out in the jungle with a trip flare over a trail and waiting for somebody to come by. And so you're doing one of those three things. And this time it was our turn to go on ambush. And the captain came to me and said, I made Sergeant then, said, Sergeant Horace, we got a new lieutenant that wants to go on your ambush. And I said, okay, get him up here. And it was in the middle of monsoon season, and it was pouring down rain. And we waited and waited, and it was getting darker and darker. You had to have a little light to really kind of find out where you're going. And finally we got him, and it was so dark and raining so hard, you're holding on to the person's web gear in front of you so you don't get lost. And I was the second guy back, and the lieutenant was further back. And we're walking down this trail, and we run into the enemy. And people don't understand that. When I say we run into the enemy, we ran into the enemy chest to chest. Oh. And we bounced off, and the guy on points, he fired one shot and his gun jammed, and we're laying in the mud, and they're 15, 20 yards in front of us, and they could hear us, we could hear them. And the lieutenant said, what do we do? And I said, call the old man, which was the captain. I said, call the old man, tell him we're dropping back 300 meters and give him our location. We're setting up an ambush there. And so he got on the phone, radio, and did that. And I said, what'd he say? He said, for us to continue our mission. And I said, well, sir, if you can hear him right up there, you go ahead, but the rest of us are dropping back 300 meters. And so that's what we did. And we set up a trip flare. We're back it's hard to explain what jungle looks like. And you think you're off the trail. We probably weren't more than 5 yards off the trail, hiding in the jungle. And we heard them coming, and they were going around us, and they were trying to come up behind us. So they circled us, and here they came up the trail again, and they tripped that flare, which lights everything up. And they don't know where we are. And guess which way they run? They're running right over the top of us. We're shooting as they're running over the top of us. And it was pretty scary, but needless to say, that lieutenant never went on. The officers never had to go on ambush. He never went on another one again.
Oh, wow.
Officers, am I right, Ashley? Oh, wait.
Am I right?
Ashley's married to an officer, so that's going to be a recurring theme on this show.
It's going to be a recurring. So my husband actually flew C-130s. So it's interesting to me to hear you talk about being on a C-130. We still use C-130s. That's the workhorse right there. For fans of freedom.
There's nothing wrong with officers. I didn't mean it that way. I'm just.
Oh no, there's plenty wrong with them. So
well, officers had different responsibilities and everything else. First of all, I was with the 1st Air Cav, and the officers in our unit only had to be in the field for 6 months, and they could go back to the rear or rotate back. If you want an officer, you had to stay in the field for a year. So that was a big difference. But when we were out there in the field, we were all the same. We chatted with officers, we kidded with them, we drank with them. It was just a different environment.
Yeah. Oh,
all right. Do you have any last words, Ashley?
Oh, well, yeah, I just love that the way that you have chosen to tell your story through letters. One of my favorite TV shows is from the 80s and 90s. It was on PBS called As Time Goes By, and it has Judi Dench in it and Jeffrey Palmer, and Jeffrey Palmer went off to war, and he wrote a letter to her, and she never received it. So she was just like, well, screw you. We're not getting married now. So their letters never met. And then they got back together like 40 years later, and they ended up getting married. So when I saw the structure and the way that you used letters to talk to your wife and use that for the book, I was just like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. So I think it's wonderful.
I'll be more than happy to tell you really how that came about.
Oh,
please.
Well, I've tried to write her every day, but usually about 3 times a week is what you could do. And when you had time, as I said, we were just married. So I would write her all these letters, and she saved them all. And I write to my parents, and they saved them all. And so we had them in this box, and we never looked at them. Once I got back, we never opened them up or even looked at them or anything. And so they stayed in there for over 50 years. Excuse me. And this kid I was telling you about that we call our son, that I coached in Clovis, New Mexico, he and his wife came by and spent 3 days with us, and we got to talking about it. And he says, Coach, he said, go get those letters. So I got them out, and we put them in chronicle order. And he said, you need to do something with these. So after we got them in order, I lit my fire, and I don't do anything halfway. Once I start something, I go all the way with it. And so I use those letters in order to write the book. And what's amazing about it, it's not like I'm trying to remember 50 years ago. The letters told me what happened 50 years ago. And then those letters brought back memories. Like I was telling Beth, I only saw base camp 3 times in a year. Well, that's not right. I got to reading those letters. We were back in base camp a lot more than that. But I took that information so that the book is realistic and not something I made up 50 years later.
That's great. I love that. I love that you could have that rush of memories coming back and all those details. It's great.
Well,
I love go ahead.
After I wrote the letters, I got the letters and I'd write them on a pad about each letter. And then I set up my movie camera, and I talk into the movie camera. I'd read what I wrote, and I could expand on the letter further than that. But not only did I write them on a pad, I had it in the movies on a movie camera about everything. So everything was in chronological order, and I tried to make it to where it was like I'm speaking to you like I am now, instead of writing a book to where you have to kind of read between the lines.
Got it. I love that you're able to fact check yourself with those letters.
Yeah.
I think more people should do that. From the stories I've heard at Legion posts, every one of them should have a Medal of Honor for everything they've done. Ooh, gosh, Legionnaires can tell a tale. I'll tell you that. Well, I want to personally, and I'll speak for everyone else because Super Producer Holly won't come on camera, but I want to thank you for your service. I want to welcome you home, and we appreciate the fact that you are contributing to society the necessary history of the conflict, not just the glory, not just the despair, but everything in between. And Alphas, you can get this book, I assume, on Amazon.
Yes, you
right?
can.
All right. You can get this on Amazon. You can read it digitally on your little tabbies, or you can read it on the pages of ink-stained tree carcass right here, like I have. So, and we're going to talk about you. We're going to talk about you, Mr. Hoy, but you're not going to be here. We're going to do that in private with the Alphas. You're going to have to tune into the show to see it. So Alphas, go on Amazon, order it right now. And when you're done with that, we're going to be back with you after the break.
When our nation's veterans came home from serving their country, the American Legion helped them with the GI Bill to get a head start. When they came home from Vietnam, we helped those affected with Agent Orange to get care and compensation. Now, there is a new war raging. Unfortunately, it is being fought in the hearts and minds of those who served. Veteran suicide is the most important issue facing veterans today, and too many are battling it alone. So join us, make the pledge, be the one to help the American Legion end veteran suicide.
Okay, Alphas, that was a lot of great information, a lot for you to want. I think it should inspire you to invest in this book. Ashley Marie Gutermuth, what, if any, were your takeaways?
I had so many takeaways. Mr. Hoy, what an amazing story. Thank you so much for sharing it with us. I'm glad that you wrote it. But also, like, just hearing about how he changed, he cared so much about baseball. That was his whole life. It was everything that he thought he was going to do forever. And then gets drafted, sent to Vietnam, sees that there is a whole lot more going on in the world, and comes back and is like, you know what, I'm going to get my education and have my family and go from there. So he just seemed like such an awesome person.
Right. And I think having all of that ripped away, he taken away from his new bride, baseball taken away, college taken away, all to go over there for that. And I think that did set up his priorities upon return. And I just love the attitude he has about the whole thing. He can go from he can tell you a very serious, poignant thing, and then something really light and funny. And it doesn't seem like a hard transition either. It seems very seamless because it's all real to him. It comes from real letters. Nothing's fabricated in his mind. I think it's great. I did want to ask you a question.
Shoot.
Even though we're doing feedback on our guest, but what is it like really like? And I know I'm probably gonna get a joke, but I kind of want to know what it's really like when your spouse has to go off.
Oh,
And then they come back.
When they deploy. So my husband has gone a lot as a pilot, and as just for his job, he's gone a lot to a lot of different things that aren't necessarily considered deployments. But he did deploy. He deployed a lot before we got together, but he also deployed about 2 years ago, and he was gone for 7 months. And what happens right away is everything breaks. Everything in your house breaks automatically. That's how that works. But also, you spend every day thinking, are people going to knock on my door telling me he's dead? Every day. You think about that all the time. His truck was parked in the driveway. And so every time I would come home from a show or something like that, I would see his truck there and I go, oh, he's home. And then you go, oh no, he's not home. It's just waiting there. So you get those little moments every day that just slowly grind you away. And then you're just like, okay, you don't watch the news. You don't watch any war movies, anything like that, anything that has any type of death in it or anything. Cause your brain just won't stop. And you're already on weird hours, He was going to all kinds of different places. So he might be able to call me when it was my early morning and it was his late at night or kind of reverse. So you basically become independent because you have to be. And then the extra weird part is the reintegration, which is something nobody talks about being the hardest part, but it's really hard. They come back and they want to immediately fit into the life that they once knew, and it doesn't exist anymore. So the more experienced military families, they'll give them 3 days. You can do whatever you want, leave your underwear wherever you want to. And after that, we got to get back into the routine because that's the way that you keep the family together.
And you've had experience, and he left a newlywed.
Right.
Like, would something like 3 months they got together?
Yeah. He was, and then he left on her birthday, which is that's the
birthday.
It's the Army FU right there.
Right. So you're probably going to get a lot from those stories there. Just even though it's a different era, different generation, I think you'll probably bond with that a little bit. I don't know. You can let me know later.
Okay.
We'll have coffee in Montana. We'll meet halfway.
Okay.
Yes. Is that halfway? Is that like center of the country?
Yeah, Might be.
No, I don't know what the center of the country is, but we'll meet there and have coffee and then go home.
Okay. Let's do it.
All right. Oh, I have to tell you, Des Moines, Iowa is not the center of the country.
Ollie's like, yes, it is, Jeff
She probably
Daly.
just looked.
Surprised you didn't say
Googled it.
Michigan.
She probably Googled it. But this is Des Moines means the middle. Okay, we're learning something here. This is a section of the show that we have a lot of fun with.
Okay.
It's called Rapid Fire. And the reason why we pew-pewed so much in the intro is because this is where we do it. After I say rap, you can participate or not participate. I'm not going to tell you what to do. Oh, see, she's even jumping the proverbial gun. Mm-hmm. I'm full of dad jokes today. I hope no women from my past call me and tell me I know why. I know why you tell dad jokes. I'm giving Holly a migraine. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Ashley Gutermuth's first time at this range, and we are about to enter Rapid Fire. Pew, 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 pew. I'm waiting for Jarek to put something cool with that, but I think he likes us to look silly. All right. My birthday / Christmas present wish list is a part of our first Rapid Fire. Why the Skilcraft pen has been used by the military for 55 years. This comes from military.com. When the U.S. military finds a good piece of gear, it tends to hang on to it for as long as possible. When it comes to non-lethal equipment, helmets and body armor come and go, but there's one piece that has remained unchanged since around the time the M16 was first introduced, the Skilcraft pen. Enter Jeff. That's also known as the government pen for the rest of us. Mm-hmm. First introduced in April 1968, they are made by the National Industries for the Blind. Skilcraft is the NIB's trade name, a nonprofit that provides training and employment for the visually impaired. They turn out a great product at just 60 cents per unit while living up to, get this, 16 full pages of government-mandated requirements. The pen must be able to write a continuous line 1 mile long and be able to do it in temperatures ranging from South Dakota to Sahara Desert, or minus 40 degrees to 160 degrees Fahrenheit. Its ink must dry within 5 seconds without smearing or blotting. It can be submerged in water for up to 48 hours and will withstand 2 bleachings for some reason. They also have to be 5 1/8 inches long so they can firmly be inserted into a uniform pocket. Ashley Gutermuth, what do you think of the Skilcraft?
The Skilcraft pen. My house is full of them. My dryer is full of Skilcraft pens. Why? Because my husband fills his bajillion pockets with these pens. These are not stolen government pens like anyone else might have in their house. No, my man goes online and buys boxes of these things. They are everywhere. They are everywhere in my house. Is it true that they can be used as a tracheotomy?
They have been, yes.
They have. Okay, they have been. It's not one of their marketed uses.
No. That's what they call an off-mission use.
Okay, fair enough. I am left-handed. So when you say it dries within 5 seconds, that's not fast enough for me, Skilcraft. That's how you end up with all the ink down the side of your hand. Come on. I do. I love Skilcraft products. So I will go in, I'll make Instagram videos where I talk about Skilcraft products because they're in the commissary. They're made in the United States, most of them, and they're made by the National Industries for the Blind. And you can get everything like the scrunchy, like bath thing, like things like that, mops and
The loofah?
like a little loofah. Yeah, you can get a Skilcraft loofah. I have too. So I'm going to test this mile thing.
I think we should do that next time we meet, Holly. We can do a relay, and because I'm not going to crawl on the ground for an entire mile.
I will.
You'll do the whole mile by yourself? All right,
100%.
that's a Ashley Gutermuth reel for us.
Yep. It'll take 4 days.
To just crawl and that'll be amazing. All right. You now know what I want for my birthday and Christmas. Birthday's first, May 21st.
May 21st.
I expect to be Skilcrafted. And Super Producer Holly's probably going to put this government pin PSA in the show notes. It's an old PSA from the 90s about the government waste that goes around with the pen because people steal them. Unfortunate, but true. All right, rapid fire number pew pew 2. Big year for Legion blood donations. This is from the esteemed news organization, the American Legion, legion.org. The American Legion's blood donor program had its biggest year in 15 years, according to the 2021-2022 National Consolidated Post Report. With just over 70% of post reporting, this reminds me of an election. Right here, with just over 70% of post reporting their numbers for the recent membership year, the American Legion produced no less than 92,162 units of blood from 56,013 individual donors through 2,504 collections. It was the highest unit total reported since 2008, when the number of units reported was 93,859. The American Legion Department of Wisconsin led the 2021-2022 reporting with 7,809 units collected, closely followed by the Department of Minnesota at 7,559. Apparently cold weather states, apparently cold blood is good. The American Legion's National Blood Donor Program emerged in 1942 to help local communities, including VA hospitals, meet domestic needs at a time when plasma was in high demand on the World War II fronts. In time, the American Legion became the #1 contributor of blood nationwide for the Red Cross. Are you a blood donor?
Oh, am I?
Oh,
yes. I have done it. I have donated blood. And in fact, American Legion, you want to take my blood? Take it all. I'm not doing anything with it. Take my blood. Let's do it right now. Let's have Jeff and I. Let's see who can give the most blood before we pass out. Hoorah.
I think, hoorah. Don't challenge me, because I will lay there till death.
Okay. All right. This is how we die. This is how the podcast ends.
If she's still going, I'm still going. That's how I am. Yeah. I hate needles too. Despise a needle, but I do give blood.
Great. That's good. I like it when people get over their fears for the benefit of others.
My post does it 4 times a year, once a quarter. Jennifer Brofer is our vampire in charge. She's our vampire in charge. She steals all your blood.
Does she give you a cookie?
She doesn't personally feed me a cookie, but they are provided there. I will ask though next time her fiance might want to fight me, and I'll be low on blood, and
then it'll just but you'll be low on blood, but then it'll just look like what are you doing, punching somebody that is fainting? So
you didn't knock me out. I passed out. There you go. All right, we are done with rapid fire today, because I knew the beginning, the talking to you about you was gonna go over, because I'm now gonna chase you down the convention halls. And
thank you.
Yeah, I probably won't say what I heard, because it sounds different coming from me. Ashley Gutermuth, can I touch you?
Well, yes, you can. I do like when people ask for permission. That's nice. It is nice when people ask, as opposed to just coming up and like grabbing me or something. There's there's an odd thing with people, like when they're taking pictures with comedians or, just anybody in those lines, they will let their hand like gently brush along somebody's butt. And you're just like, there's nothing you can really do, because if you call them out on it, you look really like you're being out of your mind. But when you have that many people do it, you're like, this is gross.
But have so many people done it that you're slightly offended when they don't?
I don't know. I try to keep my derriere to myself.
Okay.
But it just really depends on what its mood is that day.
It's interesting that you bring this up as many times as I've apologized. And yet you still bring it up.
I've given you a hall pass. You've got one of those stamp cards. Those buy 6, get 1 free.
Right? I don't brush, I cup.
You do, and it's that kind of support that the American Legion provides.
And our cancellation has begun. All right, it's time for our final thoughts and shout outs. Do we have any shout outs today?
No shout. Oh, we do have a shout out, don't we?
Big shout out.
We have a huge shout out. Let's give a shout out to the best Ashley. Spells her name right and everything. What's her middle name? Oh, it's the same as mine. Ashley Marie Garboja.
So she has the same first name, same middle name, same last initial.
Same parents, same grandparents.
Same grandparents. Oh, you're from Ohio too? Because then that whole convoluted family tree would make sense. I kid, Ohio. I kid. Mm-hmm. Although you do border Kentucky. Anyway, so Ashley Marie Gorbulja she's too busy for us. She's doing big things over at the VA. She's over there representing, helping out veterans in that way, and we're over here trying to represent and help veterans in this way. So I guess we're still teammates, and she's still I think we're gonna see her in March, right?
Heck yeah.
Yes. She's not even going to give you time to miss her. She's going to be right back here in like 2 months.
She's the best.
Oh, Ashley. Why do we did a shout out for her and she's not even gone. She's not even gone. Unbelievable. Well, thank you, Ashley, for 3 years of episodes.
You're welcome.
Wow. And I think she got brought on before I was the last one brought on, right? Super producer Allie, when we started this? No? We at the same time? No, I think you asked me last. Because I think you might have been gonna do a twofer, and then you felt sorry for me doing my own out here to dozens of people. It was a big hit. All right, Ashley Marie Gorbulja, you have been shouted out, so you still have not missed an episode. Isn't that amazing? You're in season 4. All right. So, Ashley Marie Gutermuth, this is your time to take us out.
Thank you so much, Alphas, for listening to us. I can't wait to see you all in person, and I'm glad to be in your ears and in your eyes. Thank you for hanging out with us, and we'll see you again soon.
Well, you have a whole thing to read.
Oh, I just winged that.
Yeah. Do you see it down there?
Oh, look at that super producer, Holly. Hey, guys, don't forget to subscribe to the Tango Alpha Lima podcast on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you consume podcasts. Please leave us a review. Give us 5 stars. Otherwise, I'll stuff you in my van. And then share our show where everyone will know and listen. So everybody will know that you gave us 5 stars. Thank you very much. Don't give us 4 stars. I'll come to your house.
Never. No, 4 stars is passive aggressive. Alphas, you have a mission right now. You have a mission to give blood. You have a mission. If your post is not giving blood, to go ahead and do that. If anybody wants to send me a Skilcraft pen that they stole from base, I will gladly hide your misappropriation of government funds. You should also be getting this book. Yes, even you Marines, reading about it from this Vietnam veteran who has opened up his personal life to you. And I want to see that get out to as many people as possible. So thank you again. Welcome to Ashley Marie G. and shout out to Ashley Marie G. So you guys will figure that out. I figured it out, and I'm a dumbass Marine. Oh, can I say that?
Yeah.
I meant arse. I said arse. I don't know why one is better than the other. They both refer to the derriere. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and declare Season 4, Episode 142. I'll never be comfortable with that numbering system, but I will call it Mission Complete. Boom.
Oh.